So my name is Jenil. I'm a senior product designer at Datadog. In the past, I've created a CSS framework, themes for CSS frameworks, and an icon delivery service. And I'm currently working at Datadog since like 7 years or so. And over there, I lead design tooling, specifically for the design system, and other like AI tooling efforts more recently with the coming in of like vibe coding and vibe designing efforts. So before we go into anything, I want to just ask how many people already know about Datadog over here? Can I see hands? OK, quite a few people. Let's just, it'll be helpful to just understand a little bit of the background. At the broadest level, we are a SaaS platform. And this is what companies use to monitor and troubleshoot their systems in the cloud. And what this really means is that we have over 20 different products, logs, metrics, security, infrastructure monitoring, that are all deeply connected. And it gives visibility to engineers and site reliability engineers into their infrastructure. So you can get answers to questions like, is your website performing slowly? Are your customers getting errors during a critical checkout flow? All those sorts of things. You can send a ton of information to Datadog, and we try to visualize it in a way that can understand, and you can follow connections via different pathways in the UI. And most importantly, all of this data needs to be easy to consume for all of our users. We help you also answer questions like, are your compute resources being used to the potential? Or is your website or service going down for some reason? All of our users are deeply technical. They're not just using this tool. They are living in this tool. It's often like finding a needle in a haystack. And this context is key, as it shapes a lot of the decisions that we make about the system and our design language. So we call our design system Druids. It actually stands for Datadog Reusable User Interface Design System. Yes, it's redundant, but we got the logo first, and then we came up with the name. So the logo was actually designed by somebody for something else internally in the company, but then we liked it. It had a sun and a moon, which signifies light mode and dark mode and things like that. So we just stole it and then called our design system Druids. So how does all of this impact, like the technical nature of Datadog, impact our day-to-day work and our design system? It all starts with one of the core principles of what a design system is even for. A core principle is that design system is a means to an end, which also means that the design system works for us, and we don't work for it. For us, this is how the design system works. We try to keep an eye out for what emerging patterns there are in the platform, and then we try to evaluate and capture it back into the design system. And when the design system isn't quite right for what we are trying to do, we try to come up, like there's always an option to do bespoke designs, but it's a continuous loop of how the design system feeds the product and the product feeds the design system. So the entire purpose of Druids is to make design and development more faster and confident for all of our users, developers, and designers. This lets our team take advantage of all of the hard work and thinking that has already been applied in the past and not rethink and reinvent the wheel. So this principle that the system is a practical tool and is expressed through like key parts of the company's culture as well. So our engineers are our biggest users. Over here, you can see a Datadog platform dashboard. And we use Datadog and Druids to monitor Datadog. And also, this is an amazing situation to be in, because we have a feedback loop that's already built in. And some of our most powerful users are basically sitting next to us. And this context drives us to build sophisticated internal tools that cater directly to front-end engineers and their development lifecycle. That includes a living playground for every component that has copy-pastable production code that they can take and run with. We have JS doc comments that are displayed that display component description and a link to the docs right in code, so people don't have to leave their code editor. So that principle takes us to the most important part and the culture, which is where designers and users are key part of engineering, and this combination often leads us to the direct foundation principle, that is, code is the source of truth. This isn't just a tagline that I put over here. It is a logical outcome of how our philosophy, the principle, and this culture all meet. And we'll see this, like this principle has massive implications, both good and bad. So let's talk about the trade-off, starting with the good part. The upside of this code is the truth principle is that the tooling and documentation has been super robust in Druids, and it has been always very helpful towards engineers. And for them, the system is very clear, it is reliable, and it's powerful. The docs are great. They have integrations with GitHub, Figma, IDEs, and it's a system that's built by engineers, for engineers, and it works. And here's the downside. As we scaled, and we scaled really fast, we saw that there was a disconnect. We realized that the experience isn't always matched for our designers. It wasn't that Figma was lagging behind. The problem primarily was discovery. A designer trying to build a new feature had no easy way to find out whether a component is what the right component is. They often would ask, is this a Druids component? Is this by another team? Can I even use it? Is it like the source of truth? Like, where can I find it? This gap, not in speed, but in clarity and discovery, was getting wider and wider. And this has been a constant battle for us, and we are not passive about this problem. The ultimate goal is to give our designers the same experience that is as powerful and accurate as we have given our engineers. And for that, we have built tools. This is an example of an embedded tool that we have in the Datadog product that highlights all components on a page that are coming from Druids. Folks can then jump to the style guide, to GitHub, or even Figma if that component has a Druids link. We make our best effort to represent that code truth in Figma as well. So you can see all of our components are organized in modules, and we leverage all of Figma's advanced capabilities and plugins API to bring all of the documentation into Figma and meet designers where they are. So we had this code-first system, and it was working for us until it all started to break down under its own weight. As we scaled, there were two different problems that we saw. One, and these were from different groups also, and almost at the same time. One of them, the first one on the engineering side, was front-end needed a more modular code base. This was a technical necessity. As the structure shows you, you cannot have 20+ products, all depending on one giant monolithic library. For the sake of bundling, performance, and cleaner dependencies, we had to separate code from its core system into a modular structure. And at the exact same time, on the design side, the designers were hitting a wall. They needed a reusable, specific producty pattern, but it wasn't always a universal component, and it didn't belong to the core system. So they started self-organizing their own smaller UI kits. So as you can see, it was a bottom-up, almost rogue solution to a scaling problem. And at this moment, we took a step back and looked at both these efforts. Engineers were doing modular code. designers were making UI kits, and we realized they were all trying to solve the exact same problem, just from different angles. This wasn't a grand top-down mandate from the leadership. It was a much more organic convergence and it was a powerful signal that gave us the confidence to formalize a new multi-layered approach to this problem. We knew it was the right path because the organization was already starting to lean towards it. So here is the model that we formalized. It's simple, but it's critical to understand it's multi-layered. By formalizing it, we weren't just formalizing the components, which we were also committing to its documentation and its discovery. And as we mentioned, one of the big problems was the discovery. To solve this, we built a robust discovery architecture. This architecture is built around a tool called Docs Builder. This tool creates standardized documentation for every library that's in the system, including Druids, which is the core library, and every product-specific library that's out there. All of these separate documentation sites are then brought together in this central new UI docs microsite that we made, which includes a cross-documentation search where people can look for anything they want. This means every designer and every engineer can ask, where can I find this component? They have one place to go for all of their search. This commitment to discovery is critical as the components themselves, because if a component is not discovered, it's not that useful. So what does this actually look like in practice? We have Druids, which is the foundation, and it has all of the universal building blocks that you need, including buttons, inputs, colors. It's owned and maintained by the Druids team. It's stable, and it's strictly controlled. Now, this is key part because the principle that we follow is that the balance of what's established and what's new. Druids does not define what's possible to create. It is here to make it easy for you to create what you need and build what we know is best for you. But this creates an interesting question. In a world where UI kits, how does a designer know what they need? And in fact, whether it's a foundational component or a Druids component? That's where layer 2 comes in. Layer 2 is what we call UI kits. These are platform building blocks and product-specific components. Here is where all those higher-level platform and product-specific things, components live. They are built by product teams using Druids primitives, and most importantly, they are owned by these platform and product teams themselves. So let's take a concrete example. Over here, you're looking at a docs builder or a UI kit site of Watchdog, which is our machine learning platform. And they have multiple components, including like colors and core concepts of the approach that they take, as well as the example over here is an AI anomaly info card. This card appears in multiple parts of the product. So it is a shareable component, but it is way too specific to be in the design system, so it lives in its own kit. Let's zoom in. As you can see, this component, the card itself, is created using an icon that comes from Druids, using a tag component, which comes from Druids, and the status fill, which is trying to show the status over here, which also comes from Druids. But the component's logic and its layout is all owned by the Watchdog team. So what does this mean? This new model has unlocked a few things for us. First, it empowers those teams, designers and engineers on the same product team can now collaborate and build their own kits and their own components. Second, it streamlined the process. The core team is no longer a gatekeeper for all of these single product-specific components. And third, it facilitates effective growth. So this is the approach that finally allows the entire platform to scale organically. New products can add their own kits to their own ecosystem. So we built this multi-layered system. And on paper, this unlocked organic scaling for us, and that's what we needed. But the very success of this original system that we created a brand new, harder problem for us. That is, Druids became too popular. So now, everywhere, everyone started using it, including designers, PMs, and engineers, like I said. The problem that it introduced was discovery, and right now, we are committed to solving that. Because of this multi-layered approach, it appears invisible to a lot of folks. And right now, we are teaching 20+ teams to see these layers and change their mental model of how they approach building product. So here is what we've learned so far. The first is that a complex B2B platform for us, or any complex B2B platform, like a multi-layered design system is a must. It is not just a nice to have. It is needed for scaling and maintaining a consistent user experience. Second is to embrace the technical nature of the product. So this is what we say is like a complicated future. This is not just about Figma for us. This means accepting and fostering the deep, close, messy relationship that design and code already have. And this is like code is basically where the real work happens already. And third is, and this is the most important one, is that the problem is shifting. After a point, it becomes less about components, and it entirely becomes more about communication, education, and discovery. So we are learning that you have to solve this kind of a cultural problem with more tooling, and specifically with a heavy focus on education. This is where the tools like Docs Builder comes in. This is a tool that's built by the Druids team. We maintain it, and it is used for anybody who wants to document their UI kits. It has a collection of helpers, guidelines. It allows teams to write and deploy their documentation very easily, and it ensures it all lives alongside other UI docs, so discovery can be easier. And it already has a lot of tools that are geared towards designers as well as engineers. As you can see, it has live playgrounds. It can automatically take care of prop parsing and things like that. It has integrations with GitHub, Figma, IDEs, and so on. So that's our story. I would like to definitely thank Derek, who actually outlined this talk with me, but couldn't be here because he had a baby. So yeah, and the rest of the Druids team. You can scan the QR code if you want to go see our design system. We have our documentation up, which is public. The design system itself, though, is not public. Thank you.